Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 200th episode of Guitar Tone Tuesday. It feels so crazy to say that, but for the first time, we've got a guest here, a familiar face. Ted Brown from Blackwood Guitars is back in the house, and he's actually in the house this time. So, hello, Ted. How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's wonderful to be here in Ottawa, and I just love hearing you play my guitar. So this is always a good experience.
Oh man, I love playing your guitars. And speaking of your guitars, you brought two guitars for this episode of Guitar Tone Tuesday, this monumental episode of the show. And this one is a new model, right?
Right. This is the River, which is about a grand auditorium size for those who want to put it into a pigeonhole.
Right.
It's a new model and part of our Players series of guitars.
Yeah, that's cool. So why don't we talk a bit about this instrument? It's really cool. It's definitely got a unique sound and its own voice. What's the top on this guitar?
This one is Sitka, and the back and sides are Granadillo.
Okay, Granadillo, like we saw on the guitars from the last episode.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites because it gives a similar tone to Rosewood, and it's sustainable and reasonably priced, and it's a great tone with it.
Right, it's beautiful. And I got to say, like, sitting with it, it's very comfortable. I mean, I'm a big fan of the Grand Auditorium and the kind of OM style.
Right.
And this is kind of fusing those shapes a little bit. Or, well, you're doing your own thing, right?
Yeah, I do my own thing. I don't use other people's shapes. I draw until it looks right to me.
Right.
And then I make it, and then sometimes I adjust it again. And this one was adjusted a couple of times, and now it's the final shape.
Yeah, and one thing that's kind of unique about this guitar compared to the other guitars of yours that I've played is it's got more of the, dare I say, kind of squared shoulders, right?
Yeah, this one's a little bit more of that Western look, I guess you might call it. A bit more shoulder or upper boat.
Yeah, which is cool. I mean, it feels very comfortable. I'll put it that way, that's for sure.
Good.
The neck is nice. What's the deal with the neck? Is this your laminated neck?
Yeah, it's my laminated neck. That's a 5-piece with cherry and maple and a little bit of faux ebony that we put in there.
Cool. Yeah. And all the other appointments, it's ebony kind of on the fretboard.
Yeah, ebony fretboard, curly maple
nice.
on the linings. Yeah,
very cool.
Macassar ebony on the rosette on the front. And a Macassar ebony, let's just call it the bridge.
Right. I think that's what it is. That's awesome.
Whoops. Yeah, I make these things. And the headstock is Macassar.
You can call it whatever you want to call it, Ted.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Well, let's hear this guitar, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about another guitar that you built.
Okay, great.
here we are with the other guitar that you've designed. And to those who have watched this show before and tuned into let's say relatively recent episodes of Guitar Tone Tuesday, I did feature this model of guitar, but this one is different. And I've got to say, it's impressed the hell out of me, Ted. It's a really great sounding guitar, man.
Well, thank you. This one's different in as much as the materials. We went with East Indian rosewood back and sides.
Yeah, classic.
It's ported, so there's a sound port here.
Oh, yeah, look at that, yeah.
Walnut and maple neck, but the engine of this thing is the Adirondack Torrefied Adirondack top.
Let's talk about that. This is your Black Bear guitar.
Yes,
right?
It's the Black Bear. It's our really our flagship.
Yeah, we unveiled this on the show. It must have been episode 192 or somewhere around then, early 90s. This is a very cool guitar because it is bigger than the other guitar that we just talked about, but it doesn't feel much like it. It's very comfortable to play, and I've got to say, I'm very into this guitar. The Adirondack top that's Torrefied. Let's talk about that. For those who don't know, what is a Torrefied top?
Well, you know when they kiln dry wood, they bring it down to about 7% in a normal kiln that they would use for any kind of wood.
Yeah.
With Torrefied, they then take that wood and they put it into a special kiln that's actually a vacuum oven, and they draw all the air out so there's no oxygen. They bring it up to a high temperature. I think it's around 300. Don't quote me on the temperature. And it's left in there for a few hours. And what happens is it solidifies the resins in the wood. So the effect is, when we use it in guitars, the guitar seems like it's been around for 10 years. It's sort of a premature aging effect.
Yeah, you know what? And I gotta say, like, I haven't played a slew of guitars with Torrefied tops. I've played a few. Mm-hmm. This is playing this guitar today for the last hour or so, honestly, has been my first kind of chance to really get into this. And I think there's something to it. This guitar, it's so open for a brand new guitar, and sometimes you do stumble into that, with a brand new guitar that's just the recipe worked that day or whatever, right? The pieces of wood came together in the correct way. But this, I've got to say, it's really special. And from what I have researched with the Torrefied thing, it's removing something called lignin, right? Lignin, it's called, from the wood.
Yeah.
And it's basically what it is it's simulating this aging process. Some companies will say, oh, we torrefy our tops to make it so it's like a guitar from the 50s or whatever. You're removing these chemicals, these not chemicals. You're removing these things that are in the wood, and therefore it makes it behave more like an old guitar. Yes. And it makes it it's so resonant. Like when I think of Adirondack, I don't really think of this sound. It's very special, and there's just so much sustain. It's really cool. I'm gushing over this guitar, but I really do love it. I think it's very cool, and it gives it this very nice kind of toasty caramel color, right?
Yes, it does.
Nice,
yeah.
And it's really cool. And you got this wood from Robin Boucher, or he did something with it, right?
He did something with it. I actually bought this from a supplier I have down in Georgia quite a few years ago. And about 4 years ago, I got together and with Robin and sent him a number of tops, and he put them through his process. He's a great guy. He's really helpful. And he sent this through his process, and they came back beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, he seems like a really friendly guy from what I've seen.
You won't find a nicer guy.
Yeah, he's got that. Yeah, he's so warm and friendly. And yeah. I've never met the guy, but I've heard really nice things, and I've seen him in interviews and stuff.
Yeah, he's always positive, always happy. He's having a good life, and he's making really nice guitars.
Really nice guitars. Yeah. For people who have followed the series, we featured one of his guitars a couple of years ago now that has Madagascar rosewood back and sides. Oh,
yes,
just a beautiful guitar. Oh. I loved it. But this is very nice. Premium East Indian rosewood, and it's got this beautiful figure. It's kind of striping in the back, which is very, very nice. And what's the ebony that you're talking about, the fretboard on this guitar?
Yeah, it's Crelicam ebony. I don't know if you can pick it up on your camera, but it's striped. So there's dark stripes and sort of a caramel color into it, and it just gives it a little more of a unique effect. That goes with the Macassar ebony here, the Macassar ebony in the headstock. Just love it. I like wood to be wood.
It's gorgeous, and I think that's really cool these days because, we're running out of the black ebony. We've kind of run out of the black ebony, right?
Oh, yeah, it's getting real hard to get.
Yeah, and I think that's very cool. Like, it's just, it's a beautiful look. It's a beautiful sounding guitar. Ted, thank you so much for being on the show and making episode 200 very special. It's great to see you
Thanks,
again.
buddy.
Yeah,
Good
thanks,
to see
man.
you.
Yeah. Okay, thanks so much for watching. We'll see everybody again next Tuesday.